I'm really pleased to interview today Dr. Andre Perry, who is a noted journalist, educator, and senior fellow of Brookings Institution. Dr. Andre Perry, what a pleasure for me to speak to you.
Oh, it's mine. The pleasure's all mine. Good to see you again.
Dr. Perry, I just want to know where Dr. Perry came from and how he became Dr. Andre Perry.
Before I was born, there was a deal made between my maternal grandmother and a woman in the neighborhood by the name of Elsie Boyd, Elsie Young. They made a deal because my mother was poor at the time. She had a lot of struggles. My father was a heroin addict. He was in and out of prison. I called Elsie Boyd Mom. So Mom and my maternal grandmother made a deal for Mom to take me in to her home to take care of me. And my mother, who already had a child at 15, she had me when she was 17, said, hey, you guys go with Mom. And she took us in. We were reared there. And she just emphasized education. She emphasized family. And for me, I took on almost a philosophy of family, that in order to grow as a person, you have to grow as a family. And regardless of if they're related to you or not. I have brothers and sisters who are not genetically connected to me, but they're my brothers and sisters nonetheless. And at its core, a lot of my research tries to get at this collective family, this political family that we're living in. That's what motivates me. That's what keeps me going.
And it did not take you back or like a barrier for you to be where you're at now? I mean, that kind of history.
No, I mean, I think most people deal and reckon with their social circumstances. In fact, I use it to my advantage. I talk a lot about housing and structural racism because I try to look at the assets in communities, the strengths in communities. So often we harp on the negative, what's wrong in community. I try to do is measure the valuable assets in community, the housing, the businesses, the infrastructure, because I also know that negative perceptions devalue those assets. They reduce what we perceive as their worth.
Can you talk about the research that you have found about Black ownership and what can we do about it? I mean, you have a whole detailed research about that.
We measured the value of homes in Black majority neighborhoods, places where the share of the Black population is 50% or higher, and we compared them to neighborhoods where there are few to no Black people in them. And what we found initially was that homes in Black neighborhoods on average are priced 50% less. But those are things you can control for in a study, meaning you can attend to those things, education, crime, walkability. You can get an apples to apples comparison. So that's what we did. After controlling for education, crime, walkability, all those fancy Zillow metrics, we still found a gap, that there's still a 23% difference in housing price, which equates to about $48,000 per home, which is $156 billion in lost equity. So there's $156 billion in lost equity. $156 billion is the equivalent of 4.4 million Black-owned businesses based upon the average amount Black people use to start their firms. It would have paid for more than 8 million four-year degrees based upon the average amount of a four-year public education. It would have replaced the pipes in Flint, Michigan 3,000 times over, covered nearly all of Hurricane Katrina damage, and it's double the annual economic burden of the opioid crisis. It's a big number. When things go wrong in Black communities, we blame Black people. We don't look at the structures, the practices that rob people of opportunity and wealth. If we can get at these structures that really remove opportunity, then we can begin to see progress.
Talk about this Know Your Price.
Know Your Price comes from my favorite play in the whole wide world, Two Trains Running. The main character, Memphis, is about to have his property seized through eminent domain by the city of Pittsburgh, and they offer him $15,000 for his property. Memphis then says to the city of Pittsburgh, no, I'm not selling my property for $15,000. I know my price. I got my price. He's paraphrasing. He says it throughout the play, demanding his worth. There's another character in the play. His name is Hambone. Hambone makes a deal with the proprietor, and he says, I'll paint your fence if you give me a hand. He paints the fence, but the proprietor never gives him his hand. The happy ending is the main character, Memphis, gets $35,000 for his property, well above what they originally asked him. One of the morals of the story is you got to know you have worth. What I try to do with Know Your Price is give people the price to stand on. I don't want people to die or go crazy demanding their fair share. That means we have to work together in our efforts to get racial justice, to get democracy. You're not going to do it alone. There's no one group that's going to do this. We have to have some solidarity among different groups.
What will you suggest to increase the home ownership and to become a sustainable homeowners?
I do think we've made positive strides into adjusting credit scores to reflect the reality that discrimination has impacted wealth in this country. And so there are lots of what we call invisible prime borrowers, that people who pay their rent on time every month, that they don't do anything wrong, but their credit score isn't high because they've never owned anything. The GSEs, the government-sponsored enterprises, Freddie and Fannie, they started to incorporate rental payments in their underwriting practices. And that enabled the banks to have special purpose credit programs so they can now offer mortgage products that require much less down payment. I think it's happening. We can change these structures in ways that give people a chance at the American dream. They're happening. Now we have to encourage people to take advantage, to educate the public on these initiatives, and to continue to encourage people to press government, as well as our corporate America, to innovate in this space.
Well, thank you for what you do, and I really admire you. Continue doing that. You are the hero of a lot of underserved communities. More studies. Without the studies, they could not find a solution. So thank you so much, Dr. Perry.
And thanks for having me.
Thank you for watching Owning a Piece of America. My name is Faith Bautista. Take your peace.